Refutation in response to the violent video games are corrupting the youth. The opponent's secondary claims are, first, games are no longer family-oriented and very realistic. Second is that games are corrupting youth because games have a lot of violence and use aggressive languages such as in-game chat. And third, the opponent's secondary claim is that they can help parents to restrict violence video games by petitioning to game makers to reduce the violence, and to have parents be aware of the mature rated games are not appropriate for child. And my response to the claim is that according to FBI statistics from US News, youth violence has declined in recent years as computer and video games popularity soared. It is not. We do not claim that increased popularity of game causes a decline, but evidence make mockery of the suggestion that video games actually cause the violence behavior. My first claim is games are still family-oriented even though games are still realistic. According to Kurt Squirrel from the student from MIT, video games designer create these emotions by balancing the numbers of game components, such as the characters, the game rewards, obstacles, the game narrative, competition with other humans in playing with the game, and opportunities for collaboration with other players. For my personal experience, my boyfriend's cousin, he's about 4 years old. He plays a game called Star Wars: The Old Republic. It is rated as teen, but it's also pretty violent. He actually played with his 12-year-old kid, because it's still, even though it's violence, but it's still really family-oriented, and it's really, people can play with it no matter what. My second claim is that even though games are violent, but they are rated correctly by the Entertainment Software Rating Board. And game developers also develop in-game chat restriction of usage of really aggressive words. For my personal experience, I play Star Wars, just as I stated. If you're trying to use any aggressive words during an in-chat game, as soon as you hit enter, the words won't show, it will show as the symbols. And the third claim is that games are actually appropriately rated, and studies show that most parents are satisfied with the game ratings. And all major video game stores are working together with the board to prevent selling or rent mature rated games to children under 18. An article from US News say that the industry have the independent rating system similar to the movie rating system that informs and empowers the parents about the game ratings. A study in 2009 shows that 87% of parents are satisfied with the computer and video game ratings. Last year, which is the paper is produced in 2011, so it's 2010, the FTC say that computer and video game industries actually outspace other entertainment industries in restricting marketing for mature rating products to children. And also another study in the US News article, retailers are actually supportive of rating system and are playing a critical role in keeping mature themed video games out of the wrong hands. Virtually all major US retailers are working to help parents to keep control of the games children play or enforcing the age restrictions. Thank you.
All right, well, you identify the main and secondary claims that the advocate presented. Your response is basically a piece of evidence that you introduce, and then we kind of have to infer what the claim from that is. In the evidence, it actually makes the claim, and it comes down to that video games can't really be producing increased violence since they've been becoming more expansive and more violent as the crime rate's going down, so we shouldn't be overreacting or panicking about the influence of the games. Okay, that's a good general response on this issue, and that's fine. You get to the first argument, and that's basically where all of your argument is, because it's really about whether or not we're doing an adequate job in controlling the access to the video games. You give us some background about how the games are continuing to be designed for families. You mentioned the one particular example. We don't give much up in the way of numbers, so it's a little bit hard to generalize from this, but the example is a pretty good one. The same thing on the second point. Well, I guess I'll stick with the first point because you did mention also on that first point the idea that if you are doing interactive cursing, for instance, that it plugs in something there. So, I mean, that's a good example where the game community is trying to control those sorts of things and limit the effects for family-oriented games. It would be nice to know what percentage of the market is involved with that, and that way we can contrast a little bit to what the advocate was talking about. The ratings thing basically is generically defended. You've got some pretty straightforward arguments on that about the way the ratings work, about parents being satisfied with all of those kinds of things, how the marketers are basically addressing those issues, and then you stop. So the advocate's other points are mostly disregarded at this point, and the challenge simply seems to be whether or not there are adequate controls on the warnings for parents or others who are using these games, and that's as far as it goes. And I thought it was relatively well structured as far as it went on that. All right, thank you.